What's up, YouTube? It's Trader Bryce. I have finally decided to getting around to making some kind of video. I'm going to do like a weekly recap, and I probably should switch this from, well, that's what I'm up on the month so far, but this week, doing pretty well. I'm feeling like super energetic today, guys. Like I just got my new couch in my apartment. Oh, this way. Lifting the webcam up lifting the webcam up there real quick. I'm sure it's a little bit echoey in here. I need to get a rug still, and I've got a lot of shit I need to do. But and I also just got this coffee table, so we're chilling. I'm having a good time, and I'm just feeling like I want to do something I had promised some people on Twitter, and I told people I'd be making a recap soon, and ideally when I got back from Colorado, and it's now the weekend, so I figured, you know what, why not do a little something. I'm going to try to upload on here on YouTube occasionally. And for those of you guys that want more frequent webinars, I am now part of Small Cap Rockets and the Steady Trade team. So with Stocks Trade Pro, you're going to be getting like weekly webinars from me every Wednesday after close. And Small Cap Rockets, I think we've got some really cool plans coming up, like next week or the following week. We're going to be doing a lot more content, from me, Matt, and John Papa. So if you want more frequent stuff, be sure to check all of that out. I'll throw a link down here in the description if you want to check out any of those. I think right now we're actually running a Stocks Trade Father's Day sale where you get like a 2-week trial for $20 and you get a bunch of shit with it. It's really cool. But anyways, it's already been a minute and a half now. So let's kind of just get into this week. So, like I said, I'm up about 17,000 this week. And overall, I won't do like a full month recap yet, but pretty well in the month here, near $50,000. Overview, let's go here to calendar. I'm green all of June so far. I'm going to knock on wood real quick because, it's not the time to get undisciplined. But I've had some really good trades in my opinion. Actually, let's just go to Trades View, and we can see my best trades versus, my worst trades too. I'll go over those. But TIRX, guys, like this was it was an A+ setup right out of the gates in my opinion. So let's go to detail. Large. So locked in, just over $5,000 on it. I mean, it was just a gorgeous trade, and we're gonna go over to the daily chart in a second here. But look at this intraday action, right? So I did take a couple of the trades for a loss up in here, which we'll go over in a minute. But I decided to keep stabbing at it because, again, to me, this was just A+. So basically what I'm seeing here, right, is we're holding this gap, out of pre-market. I think it gapped up in like the 730s at the highs, 740s maybe. Probably where it tested resistance here. I don't quite remember. But we're holding the gap, right? And I am a big fan of stocks that don't have massive gaps, but have really nice daily chart patterns like TIRX, which was just super overdue for a bounce. So on this gap, when it faded off, I was like, well, it really can only go down so much lower, right? I mean, the gap is still technically holding, and if it broke lows, I wouldn't have even watched it anymore because at that point it's red. But what I see here is like this little bull flag we got going on, right? I mean, it held it pretty well. It kept breaking lows and then recovering, which interested me a lot, right? Because first of all, let's be honest, any short that's been short this, again, we're going to go over to the daily chart here. Anyone who's been short this from literally anywhere is in the money, right? That's the first thing you have to think about. Are shorts still holding from here? Honestly, they probably are. I bet this has a bigger bounce. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see eventually a bounce into 30, but I've been keeping this stock on watch for quite a while. So these dips, even though they keep breaking low a day, they do keep getting bought up at the same time, which big fan of. And so once we broke this flag, I took my first entry. I think I took 2,500 shares, but I had identified that 7 was a pretty key area in this spot. I broke and failed and tested here and failed again. Once we got to 7, there was also a really big ask. There was about 15,000 shares on the ask, and once I saw that getting taken out, that was more size than had been on any spot of level 2 at any point during that trade. And another important thing for me that I liked a lot, right, was there was no bid support in here. That was the reason this kept falling. There were buyers on the ask, but there weren't buyers on the bid, in which that's why it just kept getting slammed every time it would pop. Buyers did end up stepping up on the bid up in this area right here, especially after this initial drop. As soon as I saw bidders stepping up, I was like, I'm sizing up on this. I will accept a bigger loss. At that point, I believe I was probably risking about $2,000 because I was just going to risk it pulling back from here. Because here's the thing, guys. What's really important for me is when a pattern confirms, it should work. It should just instantly work. So I'm not going to sit here risking low of day, because if this works, after this confirms, I'll give it a few minutes. That's why I started in with 2,500 shares starter size. Just wanted to see what it did. It should not break that low. It should hold up near the $7 area. It did. And so then I went in with bigger size, 7,500 shares. I actually thought I had 10,000 shares of this, but I did not. Just a gorgeous move right into this first pop I took off. I think I actually took off 2,500 shares. And then I just kept piecing out up into this push. Did I think it? I honestly thought this was going to go to like 9 to 10. It didn't. And I'm glad I did scale out up near the 8s, because this market has been, regardless of how great the trade is, there's not been a lot of continuation, right? I think it was JZXN was a relatively similar chart. It didn't have that massive crash, but it was a beaten down daily chart after an IPO. And it went like $5 a share past my exit. And this, I did think it had the potential, but I knew this wasn't the market for it to do it. So again, like I said, I sized up out of this bear flag, added size into the confirmation that the bear flag held. At that point, I would have risked this low, about $1,500, I bet. Actually, yeah, just literally $1,500 would have been my risk. So I got that nice, math. A little bit more than 3 to 1, but because I sized up, it ended up being a nice $5,000 trade. Let's go to Capper, another really nice one, but a very, very scalpy one for me. So I had a lot of people giving me shit on, I think I posted a video on TikTok, on the Stocks to Trade TikTok. Like, you can't find these entries, bro. Like, it's not real. This isn't real because, like, look, there's no volume, and, like, you can't just buy the bottom every time. Like, come on, dude. Like, it's not real. Okay, fuck you, first of all. Yeah, you can. So I've talked about this. I put, there's videos of me on Stocks Trade Instagram talking about this. I think on the Stocks Trade TikTok. I've probably answered this on Twitter a handful of times. Listen, the Stocks to Trade new high of day scanner is fucking awesome. Like, it is rad. It's because it will pick this shit up, right? Because it made a new high. I don't care about the volume, right? All I care about is I'm going to go look at the daily chart first and foremost. I'm going to see new high scanner, and I'm seeing, okay, this is beat down, and it's still hovering. So the last day of meaningful volume was right here in the 450s, up to the 5s. Which is why I traded it like a scalp up into the 5s, because I figured it was going to be met with some resistance, which it was. But I knew that it's holding up, right? It's consolidating on low volume on the daily chart, and kind of breaking out of this little multi-day area. So I did stab with a little bit of a chase size. I think it took like 1,500 shares just to kind of see if it was going to keep perking. It didn't. That was fine. But once I saw it hold and then break this high, I was like, there's a reason this is holding on low volume. Think of it, guys. When there's low volume, in theory, there is low demand, in theory. But when it's holding on low volume, that means someone is holding it up, because it should be back down to here. If there was no demand, if there was no interest, it would be back down in this area. It wasn't. It was holding up about 15 cents above it. So once it started perking back above highs, I think I took 3,000 shares. I did want to take more, but I was chasing. I really should have been buying on this candle, and I probably would have taken 5,000 to 6,000 shares. And I know that sounds like a big difference, right? Like, well, it's only right here to there. That's like a 10-cent difference. I didn't want to take on another $300 to $500 worth of risk. I sold into that first pop, like I said, into the 5s just because of that overhead resistance. And then I just kept scalping it up for little baby moves. But I was hitting it with a little bit more size because it was still holding. But once here's the deal. It breaks this high, right? It breaks this high and barely moved. And you could see it in the level 2. There wasn't a lot of buyers stepping up. The ask was still thick. It shouldn't be doing that on a high day break. In fact, this should have been a move where when it broke, this probably should have went to like 6. And it didn't. It didn't just instantly swipe, which meant there wasn't a whole lot of interest. Same deal here. There was enough to keep it up. And on the second day, as you can see here, it did the same thing. It just kind of creeped. So this will be on heavy watch for the next few days for me, because there is clearly some really weird interest here. I don't quite know what it is, but that was kind of my thought process for this. And like I said, being able to capture this move was great because I think it, that was 3,000 shares, 460 out around 5. That was like probably $1,000 trade by the time I had scaled out. Let's go back, look at another one. Oh my God, WAFU. This was the one people actually gave me shit on. And you're going to see it's the same thing, right? Literally the same thing. Former runner holding up its support, and it showed up on my new high a day scanner, right? It had made this new high in the middle of the day. I was actually in Colorado. I was literally leaving my campsite. I tried to check out late because I was like, oh my God, this is really pretty. I like this. So I took an entry here, just set a stop on 750. And I was like, all right, time to drive. And I had a price set at 870. So, not even 10 minutes later, I was just getting the keys in the car. And I was like, oh my God, it's working. And I had mentioned this in Small Cap Rockets. I said I did take an entry with 1,000 shares. And, no. I was actually already driving at this point. No, I was driving at the time that I had alerted it. I was just getting ready to leave in here when I kept seeing it like staying at the high a day. And then I took that entry, pulled over, alerted it, and said, if this works, my plan is to sell into a push to like $10, nice little scalp. And I made $2,000 on 1,000 shares, risking $400. So I got that nice 5-to-1 risk reward. Sold way too early, but that's okay. I followed my plan. WAFU is one of those ones where it does a lot of pop and drop action. 10, that was pretty logical to me. Maybe 11, but I didn't want to push the envelope, so I was okay with that. But again, stock showed new high a day scanner, saw it holding on low volume. Absolutely gorgeous. I liked the daily chart. Let's go over one more. NTech, we could do that, but I hit that with a lot of size. That was a very scalpy one. SSNT. This was actually, you know what? No, we'll do SSNT then VINO. This will be like 15 minutes, right? Yeah, that's all right. Nope, not that VINO. Is it that VINO? I guess that was a nice trade. Yeah, I took my entry here. Very clear. Let's go to like a 3-minute chart. There we go. Perked, held, VWAP end of the day. That 2 p.m. high a day VWAP hold, high a day break. Did it just perfectly. So I took it right over here. The spread sucked. This one, the spread just sucked. It'd be like a 15-cent spread at times. But I took 5,000 shares, basically just risking the 620 hold. And I basically got a little more than 1-to-1. This was a scary one to be in, so I didn't want to overstay my welcome. In fact, as soon as we got this first perk right here, I was like, this is way too scary for me to be staying in with full size. So I dropped it down to 2,500 shares and then just scalped the rest of it, which it worked. I'm glad I got to reduce my risk just after I saw that spread. And that's the thing. Everyone's like, I see a lot of people really, in my opinion, blinded by the idea of risk reward. Like if you're not getting 3-to-1, you're not successful. And if you're not holding for the whole move, like you're a fucking idiot and you can't stick to a plan. No, because everything constantly changes. The spread was super tight in here when I bought it. That's why I was confident enough to take 5,000 shares. And then it literally dropped off like 15 cents. And so once I got to that point where I saw that, I was like, I'm going to reduce my risk because it is scary what is possible with this. And then, so then I'm still risking that 620 area, but now with only 2,500 shares. So now I'm risking about $500. I'm locked in a little over 13. That's my mindset. It's what has worked for me. I mean, I've had a handful of great trades this week, this month, my career. This VINO trade, I think I alerted. Yeah, this is just, great. Another, this was actually on the high day scanner and the top percent gainer scanner with the way I filter for my top percent gainers. And I basically, nailed it spot on. 5,000 shares right here after it was holding VWAP in this area. And, I had a really nice spike within literally a minute. Minute halted up. It did scare me after the halt how there were just no bidders showing up. So I just kept slapping out, but I think I took half off here, the other half just in increments. Was I with 5,000 shares? Oh, did I only take 2,500? Nope, I took 5,000. Okay. Anything else? Oh, SSNT I said I liked. It was a really interesting one. Interesting multi-month breakout here at this 850 area. And it's not that there was no volume coming in, but it doesn't. I personally am a firm believer that when the right technical setup happens, volume should come in. And that's why this never made a massive run, is because the volume didn't come in. It was trying to do it every time, but the volume, there weren't enough buyers. So I just kept scalping it for what it was. And And it ended up being a nice trade. And it's very similar. I like the daily chart pattern. I like the intraday action, these low volume holds. I was waiting for some real big bid prop to come in, and then I would have been confident to hold this for longer. But because no big bid props were coming in, the ask was just staying heavy the whole time. I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep taking off. So that's basically, those are my biggest trades that, realistically make up for the majority of my week. I can go over a big loss quick. TIRX, oh, yep, this is, okay, like I said, I had sized up. This was right, leading up to it. Plus, I'm right in the dip, a little small size, sold for break even. This was the actual loss. It was all right. I risked below a day. At that point, I was comfortable with it. And then once it recovered is when I took this entry here. Like I said, I had sized up, knowing that I would take a bigger loss if it didn't work. It was a big stock. This is when I was oversized on here. I liked this potential. I took 10,000 shares, and I completely destroyed every bidder in sight. Just a low volume one. It was one of those ones where it was very close in my opinion, and it kind of did end up working the next day, not to the extent I want. This is still on my watch for next week, though. NTech is a really nice looking one. MTP, annoying. I misclicked. I meant to buy 5,000 shares right here, and I accidentally bought 10,000, and, well, I sold for a 10-cent loss. I just misclicked. This is a trade I'm okay taking every time. This does happen. I just oversized on accident. Part of the game. And really, that's about it for I've kept my losses very, very well in check so far this week. And we're going to look at my average winner versus average loser. I'm really basically at 1.5 to 1. But my win percentage, because I'm being very scalpy with this, justifies it. And I have sized up a little bit this month. I try to keep my risk anywhere between $300 and $500, depending on how I basically just a feel for the market. If I'm like really doing well, I'm going to increase my risk, and I'm going to take off partial. I'm going to scalp, and then I'll try to hold bigger picture for A+ setups, and that's basically what's been working for me. This has been a nice week. Literally, it just looks like a straight line. I don't mean to keep zooming in, but I am. And that's kind of just, I don't know. Yeah, I put out on Twitter my kind of overall thoughts for the market, right? My overall thoughts are just that this is a very scalp bias market. That's what's working for me right now. Bigger picture things aren't working as well. And if I do think I've got a bigger picture potential play coming up, I'm going to scalp the beginning of the move to get a feel for it. And if it keeps working, I'll keep piecing out into the bigger picture, try to hold some little chunk for a bigger part of the move, and it'll be a nice trade. That's basically what I did with TIRX. Same thing. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts. It's a little recap this week. I don't want to make it too long. Like I said, if you want more in-depth, webinars for my strategy and really just more insight, very constant, very scheduled. Every Wednesday we'll be with Stocks Trade Pro members on the Study Trade team. And I know we've got some really awesome content coming up for small cap rockets, not just for myself, but from the other moderators in that chat room. And guys, that's about it. So this is my first YouTube video on Trader Bryce's YouTube. So be sure to subscribe, hit the like button. I'll definitely be putting more of these out. I actually had a fun time. It's not too stressful, and you only have a 20-minute video. So that's all I got for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, reach out to me on Twitter, and let me know what you think of the video, guys. I will catch you next time. How do I stop recording this? There we go.